Hi, friends. Hope your Sunday's going well. Hope your Sunday's going well. If I could get a quick sound check from my moderators, that would be wonderful. Appreciate it. We've got a lot to talk about today, and this topic will be very important. So I hope I share this video with everyone. Thanks, Beck Sparrow. I appreciate it. Thank you, Yaniv. This is going to be a very important week ahead. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been talking about how the first 4 months of 2025 was going to be very tricky. And now we're entering that time zone where there is so much energy that's going to begin to get ramped up, even though it doesn't feel like it right now. I know we're dealing with a lot of heavy energy right now. So we're going to give everyone about 4 more minutes before we start the presentation. I do have slides. Now, I do have to warn many of you that are new to this channel, because I get a lot of new viewers, and some of you may be more leaning towards the left or more democratic or more emotional. And even you folks on the right, I'm going to be showing you some slides that, may make you a little uncomfortable, but I have to show them to you because I'm using them as examples of how we give our power away. And so I'm here. I consider myself a messenger. Okay, like many other truthers and people out there that have a platform and are able to talk and speak. We share information, and you could take it or leave it. It's basically up to you because it's your reality, it's your choice. So what I've got to say today is very important because it's going to affect us in the coming year. This week we have a very powerful solar eclipse. We are sandwiched in between 2 eclipses right now. We had one on the 14th, which is a lunar eclipse. It's about endings and realizations. And now we're coming into the solar eclipse, which is in Aries. And I will discuss all of that. But this is a very important time frame. And so I'm here to help people understand or remember who they are so they don't feed into any fears and anxieties and stresses, because this energy is only going to go up from this point forward. And it's not coming back down. Over the years, I've gotten so many people, when's it going to get better? When's it going to get better? And I'm like, you don't understand what's happening. There is energy that is changing us. We're becoming more aware of reality and what it means. And this is what a lot of people cannot face right now. And we see the frustration. We see the anger. We see, people getting upset at the smallest thing. I see it in grocery stores. I see it while driving. I see it in gas stations. I see it everywhere. People are just like depressed and sad, and they think that their lives are not going anywhere because they don't understand who they are and they don't understand what's happening to them. So this is why I do what I do. And because I have to restrain my speaking here, that's why I have the platform, the Inner Circle platform. And by the way, I will be jumping on that call, the Zoom call, right after this. I left a link down below for you guys that want to join it. There's a free 7-day trial, so there's no obligation whatsoever. And we've also started a new incentive program, which is really cool because, if once you understand this, your membership could be free. So anyway, I'm just tossing that out there for you. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to be a part of our community because it has been growing and the members in there are fantastic. And, I'm going to be hopping on a call right after this, and I'm going to be answering questions. So I'll continue this conversation in there for a few minutes, and then we get to all the members' questions. I do have members' charts that I'm going to be reviewing. So that's some of the benefits of being in the community. So consider joining. Like I said, link down below. And so we've got so much energy that's about to come out. I've been tuning into all this psychically as well, because I get so much information, and I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to be full of myself here, but I get information that comes out of nowhere. Why? Because I'm in tune with something beyond my physical self. I'm hearing, I'm sensing, I'm realizing, I'm seeing visions, I'm using the astrology, and I could see things that are coming. So this is why it's important to understand who you really are. Okay, that's why I got my team light on, hat on, and my colorful, planet shirt. And there's another event that's taking place at the end of the month, and that has to do with Neptune. Neptune's going to be switching signs. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here in a second, and we're going to be getting into the presentation. And if you have any questions, please join my inner circle right after this. 7-day free trial. You can check it out, and we could go from there. So let me start this presentation. Entire screen. Yes. Okay, friends, here we go. Hopefully everyone could see that. I am on my presentation here, and so we're going to get to this. Give me 1 second, guys. We'll have to go through the slideshow. All right, so here we are. So I call this one Spiritual Awakening. Now, why do I call this the Spiritual Awakening? Because this week is really a turning point. When I talk about spiritual, I don't mean religious, friends. I mean beyond religions. The spirit means the energy in the suit, in the body, in the suit, not the physical body, not worshiping any deities or entities or messiahs or aligning yourself with any religions. If that works for you, great. But I'm talking about going deeper. Spiritual awakening coming soon. It's happening right now. It will begin this week and it will continue throughout the next, I don't know, 50 years. So, but this is the week where everything starts. And so I want to go down this rabbit hole. I've got a lot of slides, so I'm going to cut through all of this real quickly. So first, I put this together. I think this really encapsulates, the signs of spiritual awakening. All right. I'll just run through them real quickly. You want more solitude. Absolutely. You have to align with yourself and your higher consciousness. Some call it God. I call it the source. You see through the illusions of society. Do we not see what's happening in society right now? How people are losing their grip, or the ones that are genuine are coming through, or those that are liars and manipulators are sort of being revealed, right? Synchronicity and repeating numbers. That is a pattern because the matrix or the simulacrum is in tune with your consciousness. And the only way it knows how to communicate through you and give you messages is through your own intuition, your own dreams and visions, numbers, equations, sensations, all of that stuff. So it's a repeating cycle. You keep seeing them over and over again. It's like something is trying to get your attention. You crave for meaning and purpose. This is very important because we have been conditioned for thousands of years, especially in the last couple of hundred years, to believe certain things, mostly coming from religions. Okay. And I've said this before. I am not a religious person. I've studied religions. I am anti-religion. I don't care what religion it is. I'm anti-religion because it limits you. You cannot go deeper once you start believing in things that are not real or are half truths. You won't be able to find yourself and understand the deeper purpose of your life. You feel completely lost and alone. That is absolutely a very important thing to understand. There's so many people right now that are feeling this. Like, I don't know where I'm going, what's happening. I feel so alone, especially for those of you folks that are very social and need connections with others. This is very important, but this is part of the awakening process. Changing sleeping patterns. Oh my God, there's a lot of that. So basically, the circadian rhythm is being completely thrown off, and it has a lot to do with the energies coming in, the astrology, all of it. It is really changing things up, and it's making it very weird. I'll admit it, the same thing. I sleep for a couple hours a night, and then I'm up. I'm tossing and turning. It's very weird sleeping patterns, okay? But I understand what's happening, so I don't sit there and take it personally. Having more unusual and vivid dreams, absolutely. Some of my dreams are so real, I can't tell if they're real or if it's an illusion. But I get a lot of premonitions. I get a lot of visions of what area is going to be affected, where there's a buildup of energy that's coming in. I get dreams and visions of that. Okay, so this is going to be something that's very common. A sudden desire for change in career, absolutely. I can't tell you over the years when I was counseling people, how many people wanted to change their careers. And they did it because they needed the money or, they had to pay their responsibilities. But changing career and going towards more natural careers, such as healing or helping others like a doctor or a nurse or something like that. And people just feel that more gratifying, okay? You have increased self-talk. Now, this is very important because the self-talk is not just your mind. You see, I do believe we have higher consciousness. There's a part of us that's in this higher realm of consciousness that guides us. And you could call it the oversoul, the higher self, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it God. It's you. It's a part of you. So you got to understand this. A desire to eat healthier. Yes, absolutely. You feel, we're being, I hate to say it, we're being poisoned and manipulated. The food is being genetically altered, obviously. There's overwhelming evidence for that. And we're not even getting any nutrition from the food anymore. So the desire to eat healthier is to keep the machine, the body, at peak performance. So many of us have changed in the last couple of years, have changed our eating habits, eating healthier foods and so on. Deep desire to connect with nature. I could absolutely attest to that one. I'm in an RV in a park here, and I'm constantly in nature. All right. No matter where I go, there's got to be some nature there. And so this is a connection with the source within you, because nature is natural, just like animals. They're natural. They have the innocence, but also the energy of the source within it, and it's reflected, and you see it, and you want to connect with it even more. So these are the signs, the 11 signs of a spiritual awakening that I think you might appreciate. Okay, so why am I saying this? Because since 2008, I've been receiving all kinds of messages about energy that's coming from space, particularly the galactic center. If you understand the galactic center, it's a giant toroidal field, and it has energy going in and going out. And as these other bodies and galaxies are moving, they ripple energy. They send energy, and we've been bombarded by higher frequencies of energy coming from space. Now, this is not me, fantasizing about it or having a dream about it. This is actual science. Over the years of doing these presentations, I've shown you repeatedly, scientists keep picking up this cosmic energy, these cosmic rays that are hitting the Earth. The Earth has a magnetic core. It's iron. When you have these high frequencies hitting the Earth, it is literally changing the Earth. It's moving it, tilting it. And when that happens, it affects all life on the planet. Look at the animals that are beaching themselves, the whales, the dolphins, the sharks. Their radar is being thrown off because the Earth is moving. So that energy is affecting us also, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind. Here's the galactic center, let's just say, and it filters through the planets. This is why the planets are so important. They are not just pretty objects in the sky that we could look at. They each hold a frequency. As the energy comes in, they are vibrating, and that frequency, along with the sun's energy, it's like a guitar on a guitar with the strings. As they move, they shift energy, and there's the good old Earth right there being pulled and tucked and shifted and so on and so forth. You get it? It's a symbolic language. It doesn't matter which system you use, as long as you use a system that you understand. Okay, so this is what's happening, friends. So understand that first and foremost, and stop taking everything personally. That's why I do this, because everyone thinks that they're only going through this. Everyone's going through this. So I'm giving you where it's coming from, why it's happening. Okay, so now what's important this week is we have the second eclipse that's coming in Aries on March the 29th. I want you to remember that date because it's going to be very important. We just had a lunar eclipse on the 14th in Virgo. This is the sign of perfection. This is the sign of analyzing. This is the sign of health. And so over the next 6 months, we continue to see the changes in these areas. But now we have the solar eclipse coming in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the ram. And I will get to that later, but this is very important. So like I said, we're sandwiched in between two eclipses, which is a very powerful place to be, where we also have planets that are still retrograde, like Mercury and Venus. So it's a very uncomfortable place to be right now. We also have this month on March the 30th, Neptune, the first of two outer planets that are going to go into Aries. There's the other one, May 24th. These are going to be monumental changes, friends. Okay, now it's up to you how you take these changes. That's the most important part. Everyone wants to know, is it going to be all right? Am I going to have millions of dollars? I'm going to be happy? No, that's up to you. It's your reality. Okay. And so we are going to see many changes to society coming in the next couple of years, as I've talked about over the years. Let's talk about Neptune here, because this is going to be very important. And when we talk about planets and astrology, you have to look at it as a symbolic language. Okay. And these stories, these mythologies are trying to guide us psychologically. Somebody, way back when, it was the Greeks, really, but Even beyond the Greeks, some of the ancient cultures understood the psychology of the movement of the planets, the constellations, how they aligned to them. And they began to create stories and mythologies trying to help humanity understand the cycles. So here we have Neptune, the Roman god of the sea. And before that, it was the Greek god called Poseidon. Now, this is very important to understand, okay, the way the planet operates. Now, this is from my inner circle, community, the module for the course, which is, by the way, in the community. So if you want to join, you get to see the whole six module course. But I'm just going to briefly go over what Neptune, the god of the sea, represents. I'm not going to read all this, but Poseidon is one of the most significant Greek gods, known as the god of the sea. Earthquakes, tsunamis, that all falls under the umbrella of Neptune. And horses. He is often depicted as a powerful figure wielding a trident. And his domain includes the vast expansion of the ocean, emotions, okay? But it's also the ocean of consciousness. Because if you understand Neptune or Pisces, which is associated with Neptune, it's consciousness, it's energy, it's the ethereal, it's the stuff you cannot see. And this is the god of that realm. But I want to bring your attention down here to something. Okay, Poseidon is often depicted as a powerful but temperamental Pisces deity capable of both benevolent and vengeful action. I want you to remember this. He is quick to temper, especially when his authority is challenged or when he feels disrespected. Very important, okay? Overall, Poseidon's mythology reflects the ancient Greeks' reverence for the power and unpredictability of the sea, as well as their understanding of the natural forces that shape the world. Again, if you've been following me a while, what have I been saying about the earth and the earth changes and the weather? Do we not see the strange weather that is happening? Now, yes, a lot of it is being manipulated, and I've shown you that over and over again, but these are natural cycles because the earth is tilting and it's throwing off the magnetic fields. It's creating different jet streams. Okay, so a lot of this is natural, but there's also manipulation. So I will agree to that. But how's it affecting humanity? I will show you in a minute. I want you to read this if you can. And I'm sorry if my box blocks this. I'm just going to read this through. And I want you to understand in astrology, Neptune in Aries combines the dreamy mystic and spiritual qualities of Neptune with the bold, assertive, and pioneering energy of Aries. Now, this is Neptune going into Aries at the end of this month, March the 30th. This placement could create a unique blend of characteristics, influencing both individual personality and broader generational. Do you not see that? By the way, this is from Grok, okay, on X. You could just put in there, what does Neptune in Aries represent? And this is what came up, okay? And I did this because it's a lot faster. But I want you to realize, I want you to listen to this. Key qualities of Neptune in Aries. The first thing is idealistic courage. Neptune in Aries can inspire fearless pursuit of dreams and ideas. Do we see any of that today, friends? People with this placement might feel driven to take bold action to manifest their visions, often with a sense of urgency and passion. Do we not see any of that today in society? And I will show you some examples, friends. Spiritual assertiveness. There's a tendency to blend spirituality with a proactive, independent spirit. This could manifest as a strong belief in a personal intuition or desire to forge new spiritual paths rather than follow established tradition. Do we not see the rise of the religious right? By the way, Neptune and Pisces all rule religions. Okay, so the religious right has been rising up worldwide. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right. Whatever you believe in, that's up to you. But we see the spiritual assertiveness that's going to take place with Neptune and Aries. Imaginative leadership. Aries is a natural leader, and Neptune adds a layer of creativity and imagination. This combination might produce individuals who inspire others through innovative ideas or unconventional approaches. Do we see any of that in society today, friends? And I'm going to give you some examples. Blur or boundaries in action. Now, this is where we need to pay attention. Neptune tends to dissolve boundaries, while Aries is direct and decisive. This could lead to a paradoxical mix. Acting impulsively without clear direction, or pursuing goals that are more idealistic than practical. Do we see any of that today, friends? Okay, keep these in mind. This is why I underlined them. Passionate dreamers. Neptune and Pisces are the dreamers. They are living between worlds. Their imaginations are tied into higher realms of consciousness, but at the same time, they have a difficult time being in reality. So they become dreamers. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we need imagination, we need creativity, we need songwriters, we need artists. They all fall under the umbrella of Neptune or Pisces, which is one and the same. The fiery energy of Aries fuels Neptune's dreamy nature, potentially creating intense enthusiasm for artistic, spiritual, or humanitarian pursuits, though it might lack grounding at times. Do we see any of that, friends, today? Okay, very important. Now, the last one I really want you to pay attention to, and I'm going to focus on that with the next few slides. Potential for delusion or martyrdom. Neptune can bring illusion or confusion, and in Aries, this might show up as overconfidence, recklessness, or a tendency to sacrifice oneself for a cause without fully considering the consequences. Oh boy, are we seeing that one today. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But at the bottom here, I've got historically, Neptune was in Aries from roughly 1861 to 1875. Gee, what took place back then? And I will get to that at the end of the presentation. But let me run through this real quickly because there's a lot of slides. Do we not see some of the Neptune energy already influencing humanity today, friends? And I'm going to be very careful what I say here. That's why I have the inner circle community, and we'll dive deeper in there. But notice what's going on here as they go after this company and the guy behind it. And we're seeing more and more violence against this organization, and even calls for, putting people to sleep permanently. Okay. And we're seeing it. This guy right here. And unfortunately, this group of people is definitely getting enraged and angry and frustrated and so on and so forth, because they're everything that I just described in Neptune and Pisces, one and the same, is acting up right now. And we're also going through Aries. The sun is in Aries right now. And I do have a few charts here, friends. But notice what's happening here with this group. And again, I got to be careful what I say here. Okay. We also see that they are ramping up protests all around the country against this one man. And we'll look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. Okay. Just let's look logical here. Okay. He's chosen to go in there and look at all these government agencies and said, look at all the numbers, all the waste, all the corruption. And what has he discovered? My goodness, so much corrupt. And many of us have known this for years. If you go down this rabbit hole, you realize what governments are. They're organized crime networks that are basically, taking money away from the people and using it for their own projects. Okay. Many of them go into black budget projects. I don't know if you guys realize that. But here we see people protesting against this man for what he's doing. Okay. And it just goes to show you the belief system on some of these folks. And of course, we have this clown and his puppet over here, this dummy, that are going around the country trying to rally more and more people and create more and more chaos, if you will. All right. We're seeing that because I'm seeing articles nationwide. Protests against this organization and this person are elevating. We see it over and over again, especially here. And I want you to, again, remember this date, March the 29th. Okay. All across the country, 500 demonstrations at 277 places here. This is their way. Instead of protesting the government and the corruption or the corporations that are running the government, this is not one of them. This organization is not one of them. You want to have protests? Go to Wall Street. You want to have protests? Go to BlackRock. But they won't do that. You know why? Because their investment funds, their stocks are run by BlackRock, and they're run by these big criminal banks. So they won't go over there, but they go to this guy. Okay, because they're being directed and told where to go and create anger and frustration. But again, this is an example of the Neptune and Pisces delusion and anger and emotion. And what I'm just showing you these as examples. We see this picture. I mean, imagine being an adult in your 50s or 60s or wherever, your 70s, and you're so angry and so frustrated that you need to destroy somebody's car. Okay, does this make any sense to the average person? Huh? I mean, If you're angry, go take your energy out on a walk, or go to the gym, or go do something productive instead of showing your anger and stupidity. But notice, imagine being an adult so mentally feeble that you let someone manipulate you into vandalizing a car, with all these cameras. But it just shows you how people are so easily swayed. Okay, here, I mean, I just love the Simpsons, and this was great. I saw this. I have to use this. They're not really helping, but again, I wanted to show you this for a little humor. But here's another example, friends. Look, if you didn't get that, a thing in your arm, you're evil, you're dark, you're this, and this is what they believe. Does this seem normal to you, friends? Okay, we're talking about a small group of people that are out there, and of course, the media is amplifying all of this. So we have, and this really, I hate to say it, but this is what's really happened here. And by the way, mental health crisis is associated with Neptune and Pisces. And I'm not saying all the Pisces are like that, but generally speaking, in the astrology, Neptune and Pisces do represent mental issues, let's just say, okay? Because they're living between worlds, this reality, and they can't figure things out, and the other realities, which are showing them things that are coming in. So unfortunately, as playful as this is and as comical as it is, it's actually, there's a lot of truth here, because it's really being done on purpose. And I also have to bring up this, friends, because I know a lot of you are big supporters of this man, and I do support him, okay, in what he's doing to reveal the corruption. All right. But he was also part of the instigation, part of making fun of things. And why am I saying this? Because the powers behind the scenes all know this. They understand cycles. They understand astrology. They understand the future. And they love to pit people against each other. Do you not see it, my friends? Do you not see how you're being used to believe things that are not coming from you? They're not coming from your own consciousness. They're coming from outside sources. And whoever's behind the scenes, whoever these people are, might not even be people, I've said before. It could be beings from other places, or it could be the matrix itself, So they're being manipulated. So when you see the anger on the left, you see the anger on the right. I mean, there is a difference, but I'm trying to show you a point, of what's happening to society. And I've known about this for the longest time. Humanity is dividing. Do you not see that, friends? Okay, so let's go into the astrology real quickly. This is why this week is so important, because beginning on the 27th, when the moon enters Pisces, now look at all these planets in Pisces right there. Okay, this energy is going to be ramped up beginning on the 27th. And as the moon makes its way, conjunct Saturn, conjuncts the north node, Neptune, and then, of course, with Venus, it begins to escalate the energy even more. We become more either spiritual or awake. Or, we feel these mystical connections to the source. We feel this higher consciousness. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel it from time to time. I'm not saying it's every day you're walking around, but, feeling like you're euphoric, but I absolutely feel it. I walk around and I go, I'm so grateful. I mean, just outside my RV here is a beautiful view of Sedona. And so I go out there just to get realigned again. But this is going to be very important as the moon in Pisces on the 27th. So things are going to really ramp up this week with either protests or announcements or, things coming from the government or people, as they're doing, gathering for events. Here it is in the United States' chart. What have I been saying for a while? The third house is about communication. And here we see the moon now going through here. So there's a lot of communication behind the scenes right now for people getting together, for, the protests that I talked about. And again, mainstream media is not reporting any of this. You have to find it on alternative platforms. But for those of you that are more spiritually in tune and more awake, you're getting more aligned with who you are. You're understanding more of who you are. But folks that don't understand this are going deeper and deeper down this rabbit hole of confusion. And so we're seeing this coming into being this week on the 27th, and we see it in the United States. Now, the moon will conjunct Saturn on the 28th. Now, there it is exactly at 24 degrees. Saturn represents governments, organizations, entities, large businesses. We see 24 degrees right here at 7:03 a.m. And I use Washington. But look, it's also making an alignment to Uranus. Uranus is the people. Uranus is awakening. Uranus is breaking cycles and patterns. So we could see something related to money, values, and we're seeing an exact sextile between the moon and Saturn and Uranus. So we could see some innovation, something new coming out. And there's going to be a lot of new technology. There's going to be a lot of new information coming out, friends. But I'm just showing you the astrology. So this week is very important for spiritual awakening, for those of us that are in tune, and delusional awakening, unfortunately, for many who don't understand what's actually happening and who they are. And that's the unfortunate part. So we're going to continue to see that. On the 28th in the afternoon, we have the exact conjunction of the moon right there between Neptune and Venus. It would not surprise me that they make some sort of major announcement about the financial system or another partnership of some kind that is huge on the 28th, because Venus represents partnerships and relationships. It also represents money. Neptune is about delusion. This would not surprise me if a very public figure in the religious organizations passed away. Like, for instance, this week, George Foreman, the boxer. I don't know if you guys realize this, but he was an actual preacher, and he had a large congregation and so on. So I'm talking about something like that. Could be somebody else, like the Pope, or a very well-known rabbi, or somebody in the religious organizations, because we're talking about Pisces energy, which represents religions. And so this is going to be big announcements or big events that are taking place, and we have to really scour the social media platforms to see if we could find any real news anymore, because mainstream is not going to report it. But this is big. Now, for you personally, it could be a realization about a relationship. It could be a realization that you want to end the job, that you want to go in a new direction, that you want to change your eating habits, that you want to let go of the past. This is all part of this moon cycle. The moon represents the past, and so does Pisces. And so you might be having some very nostalgic feelings about the past that you have to let go of or need to come to terms with before you move forward. Okay. So here we see now on the 28th at 4:36 in the afternoon, the moon switches signs, now goes into Aries. Now, this is a totally different dynamic as the moon moves from Pisces to Aries and conjuncts Mercury right there, and it's in retrograde. So I'm expecting, again, big news, information, either military operations, forceful police presence, whatever it is. This is what I'm seeing, friends, based on the astrology and what I'm tuning into. Aries represents the self-aware, pioneering spirit, new beginnings. This is what Aries represents. And because this is going to be in Aries, we also have the solar eclipse in Aries. In the United States, you can see it right there. Now, what makes this so tricky is the moon is also going to begin to square Venus, Jupiter, and the sun. So over the course of the next couple of days, 3 days or so, we are going to continue to see this moon sort of agitate these planets over here. And so this falls in line with March the 29th and what they want to do across the nation. And so this is going to be a very important time to watch. But at the same time, those of you, again, that I'm saying that are more spiritually in tune, stay centered, understand who you are, rise above all this nonsense. Now, the solar eclipse, and I will cover this in another video in a couple of days, the solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th in the morning, I said it for Washington, is going into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. And there it is at 9 degrees of Aries. So wherever that is in your birth chart, you want to focus on that area, because it's giving you a new incentive, a new desire to go and change something about that area in the chart. Now, Aries represents new beginnings. It's the first sign of the zodiac for a reason. It's the pioneering spirit that is willing to go out and explore and find new ways of doing things. That's what the Aries energy is. But the Aries energy is ruled by Mars right there, and it's in Cancer. Not a very good placement. So there's a lot of emotion here. There's a lot of explosive emotion here that wants to come out, that wants to share, wants to be engaging, okay? So we're seeing right away alignments to Pluto. We're seeing alignments to Jupiter. So this looks like a lot of communication, a lot of powerful people behind the scenes that are putting things together to organize the public that I'm seeing coming forth. Now, Aries represents conflict. Aries can represent battle, represents military. It's all symbolism, friends. Okay. So we could see that there is something brewing here in terms behind the scenes that is going to be propelled forward with this eclipse. Now, by the way, the eclipse is not just on this day. This is a solar eclipse which will last for about a year. So the strongest energy coming in will be the third month after this and the sixth month after this. So watch those months for major news announcements, major moves, something changing with military, markets, but there's a lot of information. Technology could be a very important factor as well. But this gives us a chance also to reinvent ourselves, because Aries is the self, especially if you have Aries rising, Aries moon, rising sign in Aries. You're reinventing yourself. It's time to go in a new direction, but you're waiting for Mars to leave Cancer, which is going to happen in April. Okay, so I already put the horoscopes up for that. Now, here it is in the United States' chart. It's in the fourth house. The fourth house represents the home, the feeling, the foundation. It's the real estate. And it's igniting a lot of passion in the country with this eclipse. Sorry to have to say that. Okay. And it's squaring, notice it's squaring Jupiter and the sun. So we are going to see major changes in the United States. For you other countries, if you know your birth chart, you have to put the transit around your birth chart. You will see how it's going to affect you. But this is tension. This is uncomfortable situations that are coming into being. I don't like saying it, but this is what's coming, friends. So this is why I keep saying, remember who you are, a spiritual being having a human experience. Now, on the 29th, also in the evening, we also have Mercury conjuncting Neptune, because Mercury backtracks and retrogrades back into Pisces. Now, look at all of these Pisces planets here. You want to talk about confusion, delusion, uncertainty, wanting to, break things down and, just shift things. Remember, that protest is going to be on March the 29th. This is going to be a very important protest, because we may see things there that are not very comfortable. So I'm just warning you guys, okay? It's common sense, but I'm just showing you the astrology of what's coming. And by the way, I warned you guys about this at the beginning of the year, that the first 4 months was going to be a bit challenging. Now, on March the 30th, we have a very important alignment that's coming in. Neptune, that planet behind the Aries sign, goes into Aries for the first time in 165 years. This is monumental. All astrologers know now, oh boy, society's about to take a turn, and we're going to see it, because the symbol of Aries does represent everything here. Do you see the ram? Do you see the symbolism of the ram? What are rams known for? Butting their heads. Do you see the symbolism in boxing, friends? Do you see that? By the way, this slide is from my inner circle in my community, where I was teaching astrology. The course is there, link down below. It also represents military. It represents the self. It represents wanting challenges. And so what are we seeing with Neptune and Aries? We're seeing these challenges coming to the forefront. But some of them may be unrealistic. Some of them may be confusing. Okay, so here's Neptune and Aries. It happens at 8 a.m. on the East Coast, right there. Okay, now we'll stay in Neptune until, I believe, October, the middle of October. Then it retrogrades back for the last time into Pisces. And then in January 2026, it comes back into Aries. So you could see this is just the tipping point, the little glimpse of what's to come in the near future. All right. I think we have two worlds that are going to keep showing up. One side of the world goes, yeah, let's go, let's change, let's innovate, let's create, let's bring in the technology, let's become more aware. And then we have this other group that's saying, no, we're going to destroy it. We're going to cause as much chaos as possible. You see the divide, friends? And so this is the unfortunate part of what I'm seeing here. Now, here in the United States, the Neptune is very close to the fourth house, which again is that home feeling foundation. It's the homeland. Neptune will touch upon there. So this would absolutely be the protests and people just getting restless and irritable. And, there could be issues related to real estate. The real estate market could change also because of Neptune going into the fourth house. So we got that dynamic on the table as well. But friends, the last time Neptune was in Aries, and I'm not suggesting this is going to happen, we had this in the United States. And there's the date that it started, roughly. I believe it's here. And I do have a chart for this, by the way. I want to show you. But this is the last time Neptune was in Aries. But we also had some other outer planets that also caused the conflict, like Uranus and Gemini, which is coming up, by the way, in July. So we've got all the makings right now of a repeat here if we're not careful. And I'm going to try and stop, any conflict by continuing to speak. And I hope other truthers do the same thing. Hey, remember who you are. Stop believing the nonsense. But you're only going to get so far because there are too many people in some of these larger cities that have been so brainwashed that they don't know what reality is anymore. And what happens is they get angry, they want conflict, they get emotional, and they start doing stupid things. And this is what we're going to see. Okay. Here is the chart for the Civil War in 1861 at 4:30. That's the time I found. Notice where Neptune was. Notice where Pisces, Mercury is. This is exactly what is going on right now as I'm doing this video today on March the 23rd. We have the same alignments there. Okay. We have the same thing going on with the sun in Aries. But here is the big difference. Uranus in Gemini, which is going to happen in July of 2025. It enters Gemini. And so this is a volatile next couple of months, friends. It could bring in great intervention and innovation. But at the same time, between Neptune going into Aries and Uranus going into Gemini, we have a powder keg of energy coming up. Okay. And it's up to us. Nothing is written in stone, friends. It's up to us to try and keep it, controlled or not blow up as far as, causing chaos. We do not want another civil war. Nobody wants a civil war. I don't care what country you're in. Nobody wants a freaking civil war. It's devastating. But again, the powers that shouldn't be behind the scenes see all this. And they're like, yeah, let's cause the chaos. Yeah, we could get away with so much more. You understand? You see the bigger picture now, friends. And those folks on the left, I hope you wake up and start seeing that you're aiming your anger at the wrong person. I told you it should be the big criminal banks, the people hiding in the shadows, pulling the strings. And I'm not going to mention their names. I have on the inner circle community, but I can't mention it here. You're putting your energy in the wrong place. Okay? Anyway, I want you to see this. I hope you can see this. The world is a matrix, as I've pointed out, as I've come to realize. So many have come to realize we are living in some sort of energetic field, and we call it a matrix. It's called a simulation, if you want. Okay? And here is one of the most important slides, and this is from the movie. Yes, okay, you are a slave like everyone else. You were born into bondage, kept in a prison that you cannot smell, taste, or touch. A prison for your mind. Those of us that are awake know this, have known this for the longest time, that everything that we see on social media, everything that we do is being controlled or orchestrated to control the masses, to control humanity like a herd of sheep. Do we not see that, friends? And the only way we break out of this matrix is by empowering ourselves and doing things outside of the box. Okay? This is the way out of this matrix. Anyway, remember, we are spiritual beings having these human experiences. That's one of the best ways to understand who you are and not feeding to fears, anxieties, or start believing in everything you see on social media. Got it? Anyway, I'm going to continue this conversation in my inner circle. Of course, I do the weekly astrology there. I do the extended, but we also started a new program, an incentive program, and that's going to be really interesting. So consider joining the inner circle. There's a free 7-day trial. There's a link down below, and we'll tell you more about it in there. And so it's a really cool program, and I think many of you will really appreciate it. And so, keep an eye out for that. Of course, when you get into the community, you'll go to the calendar page once you sign in. I know many of you can't see this, but you'll see the Sunday and you'll see the dates highlighted. You just click on that date. It'll open it up and it'll bring you to the Zoom call. You must have Zoom on your computer. And then you click on this link and then you'll connect with the group. Okay. And you'll be in the call. So anyway, I'm going to wind this down. Let me close this up, go back here, and let's see here. Stop sharing. Okay, there we are. All right, friends, listen. This is going to be a monumental week ahead. So I want you guys to be informed, stay away from fear, anger, and I know many of you already get that. And I appreciate you guys. This is really for the new people that are frustrated. Don't take your frustrations out, in this way. Do them in another way. Go exercise, go do something else. But don't believe the narrative. And I don't care if you're on the right or the left. You've got to see through the illusion that something is manipulating humanity, and they want you to believe certain things. All right. So anyway, if you have any questions, join the inner circle. There's a link down below, and that's where I'm going in about 15 minutes to my community, and I'm going to address all their questions there. All right. So have a great week. Do the best you can. And remember, spiritual beings having a human experience in these physical suits. All right. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.